Namaste. A warm and a pleasant evening to everyone gathered here. Let us begin this session with a prayer song.
वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवा सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा.
May now request our academic director Shri Vijay Kumar ji to welcome the gathering and to introduce the guest of honor.
Our respected guest and speaker of this session, Dr. Girish Bapat, Director and Head of Jnana Prabodhini, Prashant Divekar, the Head Jnana Prabodhini Institute Training Institute, Shri Anil Kijaji, Shri Praveen Tatiaji, the principals of sister concerned schools and the principals of schools, those who have come for this session, as well as the teachers, namaste to one and all gathered here. First, let me extend a hearty welcome to Dr. Girish Sri Krishna Bapat, who is the head director of Jnana Prabodhini, who has come all the way from Pune, and he has been on a busy schedule right from the moment he landed in Chennai, visiting few schools and had discussions with the management members of different schools. And today he is completing the session in our school after having a discussion with the members of the management, followed by a session on designing lessons on holistic development. So on behalf of everyone gathered here, let me extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. It's our privilege that you have come over here, and we are all blessed to see a seasoned academician with more than 4 decades of experience in the field, having done so much of research and spread its wings across the globe. And I also take the privilege of introducing the guest to this audience. The born in the year 1957 with a postgraduate degree in chemistry from University of Pune in 1979. And he did PhD in organic chemistry in University of Victoria, Canada in 1983, and emerged from University of Pune in 1986 and DBM Institute of Management Development and Research Pune in 1988. He has been the director of Jnana Prabodhini, an educational institute in Pune, since November 1989, an alumnus of Jnana Prabodhini School for the Intellectually Gifted. He also served as the principal of the reputed school for 5 years. Jnana Prabodhini works in the field of education, rural development, health, social organization, research and national integration. As the director, Dr. Bapat oversees activities across all these areas. Dr. Bapat has taken a vow of sannyas in accordance with Jnana Prabodhini's constitution and has dedicated his life to social cause as a sannyasi in plain clothes. I think for this you can give a good round of applause for the dedicated service which he had. And he has travelled extensively across India to organize relief work, youth camps and study tours. For over 40 years, he has sustained a deep interest in exploring the connections between Advaita Vedanta, other Indian philosophical systems and modern science. He has conducted numerous study camps for youth on Bhagavad Gita, a spiritual treatise by the 17th century Maharashtrian saints Samarth Ramdas, and writings of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and in addition, he has led training session for teachers, principals, social activists, and graduate trainees in the industrial sector. Really, we are fortunate and blessed to have a session here. For all the teachers, definitely will reap the benefit out of this and make use of the expertise, and we believe that he will come in future also after expansion of activities in Chennai schools.
Thank you for those fine words of welcome and introduction, sir. I take this opportunity, I request our academic director to honor the guest of the day with a small memento. Can we please give a big round of applause? I request sir to honor Shri Prashant Divekar ji. Thank you sir for your patience. You've been here with us for more than 6 months now. It is my pride, pleasure and privilege to request Dr. Girish Bapat to address the gathering. Will you please, Shri? As is mandatory for all meetings, I request the mobiles to be on silent, please. Thank you.
Namaskar to all teachers, principals, well-wishers, managers, motivators. I have come here to speak on holistic development. I come from an institution named as Jnana Prabodhini. Meaning is awakener of knowledge. Knowledge of oneself, knowledge of our system, knowledge of our society, knowledge of the problems in the society, knowledge of possible solutions to solve those problems, and of course, the will to solve those problems. All this comes under the name Jnana Prabodhini. Since I am in Chennai, I would like to begin with connection of Jnana Prabodhini with Tamil Nadu. And it goes long back. In 1965, 15 years after the implementation of the Indian Constitution, it was supposed that Hindi will become the national language. And there were anti-Hindi agitations in Tamil Nadu at that time. Now, what do the agitations in Tamil Nadu have with man-making education or holistic development? But the founders of Jnana Prabodhini thought that just relying on news reports will not be useful. They may be biased. And if the students of Jnana Prabodhini have to know the problems of India, they have to go and see the problems firsthand. So a group of students who had just given their school leaving examination, they came to Tamil Nadu, met many people, met the dead governor, met late Annadurai, and visited some cities in Tamil Nadu, some villages, and tried to understand the intensity of this anti-Hindi agitation. And they thought that they had a better understanding of the anger of the people against imposition of Hindi. They came back to Pune, and because they had exposure to the social atmosphere in Tamil Nadu at that time, when they came to Pune, they went to a locality called Somwarpet in Pune, where there is a concentration of Tamil speaking people residing there for generations. And they said that whatever is happening in Tamil Nadu, we will tell all the people in Pune that the Tamilians in Pune are Puneites and they have to be treated as equals. And so they had programs of bhajan together, Tamil and Marathi speaking people, in various temples in Pune. What did this exercise do to the solution of the problem? It was just a pinch of salt. But that experience kindled the fire of working for the society, solving the problems in many of the students. One of the students who had been to this study tour was later a lecturer in the Institute for National Integration, which is run by the Defence Forces, for all the priests who are working in the Defence Forces. And there he used to relate his experience in Tamil Nadu at that time and why all the people of various religions, speaking different languages, of different political parties, have to come together to solve national problems and progress of the nation. That was in 1965. In 1976, we did another experiment. At that time, there was drought in Maharashtra, in Tamil Nadu, in many parts of southern India. And the TWAD board in Tamil Nadu Water Supply and Drainage Board, had commissioned drilling of bore wells in various rural districts of Tamil Nadu. About 40 NGOs from Maharashtra had formed a federation and they sent their boring rigs to Tamil Nadu to dig bore wells. But after digging a bore well, you have to install a hand pump on that. The hand pumps which are installed in 4 or 5 districts of Tamil Nadu, the design was finalized and got approved by engineers who had studied in Jnana Prabodhini. And the installation of these hand pumps was also being done by these engineers. They asked 2 students again who had just completed their school leaving examination in the months of April and May, would they like to come to Tamil Nadu and install the hand pumps. They were given a crash course of how to install the hand pumps and they came here for a month and they worked mainly in Ramnathpuram district, but Tirunelveli, Madurai, Salem, Nagarcoil districts also, these hand pumps prepared by engineers of Jnana Prabodhini were installed. What was the effect of this? Both these students are now of the age of 65, but after their graduation that they decided that they will devote all their time for rural development and they are still doing that after 50 years. Jnana Prabodhini asks students to engage in some commercial activity. in preparing some articles and selling them, or just buying them in the wholesale market and selling them. For about 30 years, students of Jnanaprabodhini were selling firecrackers. After that, due to the realization of environmental effects and the involvement of child labor and that, they decided to stop it. But again, it was a practice that young students will come to Shivakashi, explore all the manufacturers' markets, identify the vendors, and gave wholesale orders and carried out the financial transactions for that. About 40 young men came to Shivakashi because we always sent 2 of them to here. And out of these 40, 25 became entrepreneurs, businessmen, because they got the confidence that they can handle financial transactions and make profit. They are still doing business with following good practices. And of course, during the tsunami, volunteers of Jnanaprabodhini, students studying in the school and past students, they had come to Tamil Nadu to work in the relief activities. These are all life lessons because they motivate the students to use all their energies to do something useful. It creates an urge to be useful to the society. And Jnanaprabodhini has been doing this since 1962. We describe ourselves as a new experiment in education. That experiments are still going on. But after the first 20 years, we felt that just experimenting is not enough. We have to extend the use of these activities to other schools. The school initially started by Jnanaprabodhini was for intellectually gifted students, or nowadays we say that high ability students. So we decided that whatever activities we have designed, are they applicable to all the students, the general population of school going students? So we started a secondary school in an industrial area, which was a neighborhood school. So all the students staying in the neighborhood got admitted there. There was no selection based on intelligence. Then we started a school in a rural area, which was a technical school. Then we started a school in a city where 1/3 population speaks Marathi, 1/3 speaks Telugu, and 1/3 speaks Kannada. And we wanted to check whether our activities are effective in this multilingual state also. Then we started schools in a rural area where there was irrigation facility for the whole year, and another school in another rural area which was drought prone. Every 3 years, after every 3 years there was drought in that area, and it was all area of rain-fed agriculture. We started a school for tribal children in a village which was cut off from the rest of the part of the country due to the monsoon rains. And so it was a 100-day school starting in November and ending in March. And then we started a school for children of migrant workers. The children and the workers, they moved from drought prone area to areas where there are sugarcane factories and they harvest sugarcane. The children stay with them, so they cannot go to their school in their own villages. So we started 100-day school for these children also. And with all this experience with students from diverse backgrounds, we were confident that all the activities which we are conducting in Jnana Prabodhini are useful, are effective in making the students more capable, more motivated, ability to work singly on their own, and with ability to work in groups. This is the introduction part of my lecture. The philosophy behind this, I told to the principals and managers, directors who had assembled Saturday in another lecture. Today I am going to talk about how these principles, this philosophy is put into practice, because most of you are teachers here and the teachers want to know what to do immediately tomorrow in my classroom. Of course, what I am going to tell cannot be done immediately in the classroom, but it has to be done by teachers. So I am going to speak to all these teachers who have assembled here. For any learning, the first condition is the student has to be in a receptive mood. And how to create this mode of reception in the students? Those who are spiritually minded, they say that meditation is the answer for that. But most of the students are not in phase with that type of thinking. If not meditation, at least prayer. It creates the atmosphere for some time. But in schools, many times, the prayer at the time of assembly is part of the school discipline. The students will not participate wholeheartedly in them voluntarily. Some can do that by nature, but not all the students. So if not meditation, if not prayer, then what to do? In many of the schools at the pre-primary level, there are lessons of silence, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But Jnana Prabodhini tried a different way. Can there be silent study for hours in the school? Many of your schools have organized Varsharambha or Varshanta in their schools. For many years, the practice in Jnana Prabodhini was on the Varshanta day. The students used to come to the school in the morning, practiced mauna, not talking to anyone. They studied according to the age, some for 2 hours, some for 3 hours, some for 4 hours, some for 5 hours. And after their period of silent study, then there was this upasana for Varshanta. Now, should this be only once in the year? We thought that it can be extended for whole year. Maybe we can have a period for silent study, or the students can just practice silence for some time, and whether this can be extended to all students. Our school in Pune is a secondary school, but other schools which have started in other cities have pre-primary and primary sections. So can this experience of silence be given to pre-primary students? Many schools have that silence period for some time, but we try to experiment with that. What to do when we are silent? the students were taught to listen different sounds. Soft background music with eyes closed, to become aware and conscious of their own body movements and whether they can walk silently. They are sitting in a circle. One student stands up and goes around all the students in the circle, and he is given the challenge that no one should notice that he is walking around. And once the challenge is placed before the student, even pre-primary students can do this. They can walk silently, others not noticing at all. Then can they lift things and place them at some other place without making any noise? And each one gets a chance. And after doing these exercises without making noise, then they are told to do some activity. The instructions are given only once and they have to follow the instructions. And after practicing silence for a few minutes, 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, the receptivity is so increased that just by giving the instructions one and 4-line instructions, 4 things to do, just giving the instruction once, the student can remember those and execute those without any problem. So we have to start with this increase in reception of the students, and for that silent study or periods of silence are important. We can have those every day in the school. In one of our schools for 4 years, every day there was just one bell and all the students sat silently in their places, and one group of students moved around the school cleaning all the premises, and they were told that they should make no noise while others should not notice that. And that period of silence for 10 minutes was useful, it was effective for the remaining day, and the reception of the students was excellent in all the lessons after that for 6 or 7 periods in the school. Then what do the students need to do in their life? I am not going to talk more about the academic part, but for holistic development, what do the students have to do in their life? We have to learn to face unknown people confidently. We have to learn to face big audiences of known people. Students can converse with one another, but even if there are 20 friends sitting in front of him, the student is not able to address the audience. So we have to give them a chance to talk before an audience with making eye contact with members of the audience. Because many students, when they stand before the audience, they look down or look up and recite whatever they have learned by heart. But to have eye contact with the audience, with people in different parts of the audience, and speak to them confidently, address to them confidently, and just one unknown person, you have to go and talk to that person without any inhibitions. So we have a regular period of Vyakti Parichay, getting to know a person. And unknown people are invited to a classroom, and students are encouraged to ask questions and get to know all the details about the personality of the, about the experience, about the occupation of that person. I have found that after making introductions with 3 or 4 people in that way, sitting in a classroom along with other friends, the students get the confidence that even they on their own can go to an unknown person and talk to him. So they are given an individual task. In life, sometimes we have to act individually. So we have to learn how to do a task individually. So they are given an individual task to go to another teacher not teaching to their class and get introduced to that teacher, or go to a staff member in the office, in the back office, so there is no direct relation with the student, and talk to that staff member and get introduction. And sometimes when parents come to the school to drop off the students or take them home, they are told to go and talk to a parent of someone in his class but not his friend. He knows it by the name, he recognizes his as classmate, but there is not much relationship with him, acquaintance, only acquaintances, and go and talk to his parents, mother or father who has come. And the students learn to do this confidently. Once they get this confidence, then they are told to articulate their thoughts before unknown people, before the audience. Not prepared speech, extempore, just one line they have to answer, one line questions, answer questions. But the students learn to articulate their own thoughts in words, in speech or in writing, and also articulate their feelings in action. How will they express their anger? How will they express their love? How will they express their confusion? How will they express their curiosity? The students are asked to express these in different ways and compare how all their classmates are expressing a particular feeling, and they learn from that. It gives them confidence how to deal with people, how to behave with people of who are known or unknown to them. Once they have the confidence to work with people, to move with people, to talk to them, then the next step is exposure to social groups and situations. For that, of course, we have to make arrangements that the students go outside the school premises. We have tried that at all levels. It is very difficult for first and second standard students to go outside and meet different social groups, but from third standard onwards, the students can do that. But if you have a group of third standard students, they will not be able to do it. So we form vertical groups, students from third standard to 10th standard. They are put in a group and then they are told to go outside the school and meet groups of people, talk to them, interview them, get some information from them. For 1 year in our school at Solapur, they were told to meet family members of old freedom fighters and ask them information about the senior person member in their family who was a freedom fighter, and get information, and they created a whole history book of local history about freedom fighters from first hand information obtained from the family members. They can do complicated tasks also. Even all teachers here may not be aware. There was one finance commission, 15th finance commission, which said that each village will get a certain amount per capita. So if there are 100 persons in the village, they will get small amount. If there are 1,000, they will get more amount. And the village committee, the panchayat, was given the authority to decide how this amount is to be spent. So one group was told to go to the taluka office and get the information about villages which have spent the money to the satisfaction of the officials. They gave a list of about 35 villages in the taluka. Out of 100, 35 villages had spent properly. So 35 groups of students were made, and each group went to a village and approached the village panchayat members, approached various villagers, the school teachers, and asked how had they decided to spend the money, and are they satisfied that it has been spent properly. And the officials in taluka office were surprised that the students collected more information, more exact, accurate information than they had in their official records. And we can go on. 1 year, the students met only the workers in the sanitation department of the corporation. And they start work early in the morning, 5 o'clock. Not all groups, but some groups of students assembled at 5 o'clock and went to see how they work, for how much time they work, what do they after the work is over. And they got a complete new view of a section of the society. And they get the confidence that they can approach anyone in the society, and if they speak to them properly, people are eager to talk about their work. 5th standard students go to a village in the same district. 6th standard students go to a village in the neighboring district. 7th standard students go to a district in the same state but further away from their district. 8th and 9th standard students go to villages or places in the adjoining states, and 10th standard students go to the frontier states and stay there for 1 month, 1 week. Of course, arrangements have to be made for this. There has to be a pilot recce at that place to make all the arrangements. But it is a learning experience for the students. What about the expenses? The parents are told that these will be the expenses. But I mentioned earlier about sale of firecrackers. Once we stopped that, why not sell dry fruits? Why not prepare, make and sell rakhis at the time of Raksha Bandhan? Many ideas came, and the students raise at least some part of the expenses for this Mathrubhumi Parichay from these sale activities. Sometimes the parents say that we will bear the expenses. Then the profit, the surplus from these activities, the students decide how they will utilize it, and most of the times they decide to give it to someone, to an orphanage or to an old age home or some needy student, and they learn sensitivity to problems of others through that. Besides this Matrabhumi Parichay, another activity which is encouraged is participation in local community festivals. And there, another part of personality development, when you participate in a community festival, you have to become one with the crowd, forget yourself. So you get confidence, so you start feeling that I can do this, I can do this, I can do everything. But even with that confidence, when you participate in a community festival, you have to forget yourself and become one with the crowd, do whatever the people in the crowd are doing. Of course, they have to be told how to behave in the crowd. Then they find that some of the practices are not proper, because many things are gathered in those community festivals, because they are learning about environment there, because they are hearing about the constitution. They think that some of the practices in these community festivals are not good. They need to be changed. And can students change a community practice? It's very difficult. But if one feels that I have to try that, should we encourage that? We encourage them in Jnana Prabodhi. We say try, you may be successful or you may not be. But what's wrong in trying your idea? In Maharashtra, there is Ganesh festival celebrated almost everywhere. The students decided that in most of the slums where they celebrate Ganeshotsav, the current practice is to have DJ boxes blaring out sounds and music. Why not have better entertainment? The students said that we will prepare a presentation of dance and acting, some drama, some singing, and we'll come to your slums and give the presentation. The only condition is the DJ should be stopped at that time. And the students went there. They were escorted by teachers, but teachers were always in the background. The students went there. They made their presentation. And after they went to 20 places, people in one place said that this is good, we will try to do this, our children will do this type of entertainment. So that is the rate of success, but you have tried something. Once they remember that this can be done, they get the confidence to stand up in a crowd and say that this is not proper, you have to do this thing. You may be successful or not. Another example of this sensitivity, I talked about this sugar school for children of migrant workers. So there we had a hybrid method. Teacher volunteers went there and students also went there. 8th and 9th standard students went there to teach in the primary school. After going there, some of the students came and said that we have to do a project every year. I don't want to do a science investigative project. Can we as a project go and teach children of the construction workers near our house? Well, if it is their initiative, it is always welcome. We said, of course, that will be your project. You just have to write a report what you did during 3 or 4 months. And one pair did that, the other pair thought that we should also do it. Another pair thought that we should also do it. And half the class, instead of doing science investigative projects, they went to teach children of construction workers. After growing up, as I said that those 2 students who had come to Tamil Nadu to mount hand pumps on the bore wells, and then they started working in the area of rural development for the rest of their life. So some of the students who had gone to this sugar school, after their graduation and having some job, what to do with our free time, they decided to go to an area of Maharashtra, tribal area, it is called as Melghat, where there are many child deaths due to malnutrition. So they decided that all their free time they will devote to this area and try to educate the people by using locally available food and avoid the deaths due to malnutrition. And after 20 years they are still doing that work. So you plan for the whole school. All will participate. Some may participate only because they want to be with the crowd. They may not understand everything. But you create an atmosphere so that some get the confidence and get some ideas and with initiative they start working for the society. And even 1 in 100 does that, it becomes a role model to future groups of students. Now, all these cases which I mentioned that they are doing this in their grown-up stage, they are all invited to school and they relate their experiences, what they did in the school and how it is connected to what they are doing afterwards. Such students, past students, alumni are trendsetters. So another activity which we can have in schools, and for the last 2 years we are having it once a month, invite trendsetters in the society to relate their experiences, what they learned in school and how it is connected to what they are doing when they are grown up. And listening to these trendsetters, students get ideas that how they can respond to the condition around them. Just listening is not enough. Sometimes we have to give them a chance to have dialogue with workers or activists in the society who are working with some motivation. Because they have learned to ask questions freely without any inhibitions. When such activists are invited to the school, the students have an interesting dialogue with them, conversation with them, and which again gives them ideas how they can relate to the situation around them. With all these experiences, exposures to social situations, the students have to be taught how to behave in the society. In Jnana Prabodhini, we have a psychology department which has studied a lot about behavioral intelligence or social intelligence. And to teach behavior, we have to have role models before them. The first role model is their parents, but after pre-primary, primary stage, the role model is the teachers before them. And the students are closely observing how their teachers are behaving, how they are talking with each other. A student may be standing at the door of the staff door and just the conversation in the staff room falls on his ears and he makes conclusions about what is the proper way of behaving. So we have to be very careful that we are being observed all the time and students are learning something from that observation. So what to talk and what not to talk, how to talk and how not to talk, how to react and how not to react, how to respond and how not to respond. This the students are learning by observing. But we can convert that to a discussion session. And discussion with peer group can also be an excellent learning experience. We have practiced that in a class of 40. We make the students sit in group of about 7 or 8. And the students are asked to discuss a particular incident which has taken place in the school. Someone behaved in this way. What do you think? How could have he responded in a better way? So just criticizing is not enough. They have to give alternatives. And if you start giving alternatives for others, how they should behave, there is some reflection on yourself also, and you remember that you also have to behave in a similar way if you are in a similar situation. But for total personality development, just this confidence building activities or exposure to social situations, getting to know the countryside, getting to know the people, getting to know the various systems is not enough. We have to take care of cognitive development of the students also. And just teaching of academic subjects is not cognitive development. Students learn to read. Have they learned to read with comprehension? Do they understand what they have read? And have you taught them the skill to how to read between the lines? Something is stated in words, but something else is intended. So that is cognition, to learn to read between the lines. And for that you need to have to discuss. Individual conversation with the students or discussion in groups. And the students should be allowed to find the meaning which is given in the words and which is not mentioned but it is intended. So reading with comprehension, learning to read between the lines is necessary. Once you start reading with comprehension or reading between the lines, there is a chance you may become critical of everything. So appreciation is also to be taught. At the end of the year, we invite all the students to write whatever they have experienced and learned during the year, to write about sweet memories and to write about bitter memories. So the students start looking back towards the whole year, and they find out that reflection is also a good learning experience. We ask all students to write this manogat, we call, whatever has come to your mind after experiencing the whole year. But that can be done after any activity. If you have a school trip, after the school trip, instead of just describing what they did, we can ask them to write what good things happened during the trip and what could be improved. And even small children can write that I did not like this, it has to be in this way. So writing about whatever has happened in the past one day or past 1 year, gives a chance for the students to reflect on what they have experienced and they learn from this reflection. For total personality development, self-study skills have also to be taught, and they are necessary for cognitive development. In self-study, there are many courses available for that. But in self-study, we teach a method of group discussion and how to learn from one another. If I know something, I should teach it to my classmate. And if I don't know something, if I don't understand something, I should be feel free to ask my classmates to explain that to them. This can happen in group discussion, and students learn a lot from that. Many of our teachers use this method regularly, and they tell that I am not going to teach this chapter. You have to learn it by yourself. And in rural schools also, students do learn, understand the content given in a chapter without the help of the teacher, just by group discussion. Now to go to the changes which are occurring. Jnana Prabodhini was the first school in India to start teaching computers to students in 1984. Again, it was the first school in India to start teaching biotechnology and tissue culture to students in 2001. And just before the corona epidemic, Jnana Prabodhini had started teaching artificial intelligence to students. They were doing experiments in robotics. Now that will depend on the resources which the school has. All schools cannot be doing that for all the students, and you have to decide whether you can do it, should do it only for some students in the school. But you can at least make the students aware that these are the new technologies which are coming up in the society, coming up in the world, if not in India, somewhere else. If not in our city, somewhere else they are using it. And that creates curiosity in the students to find out something more about it. And receptivity has to be about the failings in the society, but it has to also to be about successes in the society. We all teachers understood that in a different way. We had one rural talent development scheme where we were identifying talented students in villages and conducting some special programs for them. And we arranged a camp for these students where there was one pole and a solar street light on that. And one of the students who had come for that camp, whenever there was free time, he should go and stand by that pole looking towards the solar panel. After observing this for 2 days, one of the teachers called him and asked him, "What are you doing there?" Now I am wondering how this street lamp will come to my village and there will be light in my village during night. He started wondering. Then the teacher explained to him what he has to learn. And today he is doing the business of solar panels and erecting solar panels in villages. So we have to be observant, and whatever a student is doing, maybe from urban upper class rich family or middle class family or from urban slums or from rural, anywhere, we can't predict how the curiosity will be triggered in the students. So we have to be observant and give them a chance to learn what they want to learn. And the best way for that is to use the project based learning method, where the students decide the topic of their project. They define the problem they want to solve. They should decide what method they should follow. And when they have their own problem, their own method of solving that problem, they will work on it with full concentration and learn something from that. So another idea which has come up, promoted by the central government, is tinkering lab, where the students can do and work in the workshop on whatever idea they have in their mind, whatever they have just visualized, try to bring it to in concrete form. Again, that will depend on the resources. But how can we bring such resources together? In Jnana Prabodhini, we are using two ideas for that. One is special interest group, where students who are having similar interests, they come together, they find a resource person, they find the time for that. Someone wants to do bird watching, someone wants to record flight of birds on their mobile phones, someone has to do photography, someone has to do glass sculptures. Whatever they see, they feel like doing, so they come together. Sometimes the interest wins away and they leave the group. But when they have interest in something and they find students with similar interests, they come together, they will find all the resources. They will go to people, ask questions, get help, and learn what they want to do. Special interest groups depend on the students' initiative. But another idea with which we are working for the last 7 or 8 years is special purpose groups. I talked about a vertical grouping of students from 3rd standard to 10th standard when they go to meet various social groups. Now we are trying with the idea of a vertical grouping from students of 9th standard, 10th standard, and alumni who are undergraduates, alumni who are postgraduates, who are doing business, who are doing research, who are working in a profession. And this vertical group meets once a week. One year students said, we want to know something about journalism. So we asked all our journalist friends whether you would like to join this special purpose group. 2 or 3 came working journalists. One was the editor of a newspaper. Then they got some students who were studying journalism after graduation. And these 9th and 10th standard students met with them every week and tried to learn the intricacies of journalism. We publish a student magazine for students. A group came to say that we want to prepare one issue of this magazine. We want to be editors. And not just editing, but we want to see how all the publication is done, how the printing is done. And so they spent 50 days, learned something. Not just journalism. Once a group wanted to study legal profession. So again, known attorneys and advocates were asked whether they want to participate in this. They came and a group of that was formed. Someone wanted to study psychology. So a group of psychologists was formed. Because there are few chapters of economics in 9th and 10th standard syllabus. Someone said that we want to understand how the budget is made. And a professor who analyzed the annual budget every year after it was declared in the parliament, he said that he will come and guide the students. And after the budget was declared, the students collected all the newspaper articles on that and they analyzed the budget in their own way and learned many things. So these are special purpose groups. They are created artificially, 9th and 10th standard students and senior students, and they learn a lot. And interesting because it was directed by a staff member, there is a concept of gender budgeting in nowadays. During the budget, how much money is allocated for women or for girls under different heads. So they analyze the budget in that way. And our staff member was an activist involved in the power of activities of women empowerment. And she said that girls must study gender budget. So out of class of 14, 3 girls were ready to study that. And then a group was formed of school students, college students and practicing economic analysts. And they analyzed the budget to see whether it was a gender-based budget. So there is no end to what ideas students may have and how they can be realized by getting help of all the people. Now in the new education policy, there is one concept of professor of practice. So you don't have to be a BEd or you need not have set or net. If you are working on in some profession and you have some skill and that expertise in that, you can go to a school or college and teach that to the students. So now these special purpose groups can be made in any school, and many people working in different professions around the school can be invited to become professors of practice and enthuse the students to understand more about them. There are so many other things which I can talk about, but considering the amount of time available, I think that this is just a snapshot of what activities can be conducted by teachers. All these activities I mentioned, they were planned by teachers. The principal was not involved. He only had to give no objection and the teachers did that. So if the principals are present here, they should also can take some motivation from this, and if some teachers bring about new ideas that we want to implement this in this college, the job of the principal is to say no objection, and the teachers will do it and the students will respond and they will learn a lot from that. This is what we do in Jnana Prabodhini. Many of these things you may be doing in different schools. What we have been successful in doing is that even the principals have changed, generations of teachers have changed, still the system is set and it is working in the school. And so we know how to set this system of designing life lessons for holistic development or total development of the teachers. And after doing experimental work in education for a few decades, now Jnana Prabodhini has decided that we have to extend this, because this is the better way of education. Even the government has recognized this. After the new education policy was published to prepare the national curricular framework, the government asked in what way can Jnana Prabodhini help in that. So I sent names of 35 of our staff members who can participate in developing this national curriculum framework for the whole country. All were not invited, some are still being invited, but 6 of them have been invited so far, and they are working in the area of pre-primary education, primary education, secondary education, education of the gifted. So I think that whatever we have been doing is the direction the whole educational scenario of our country is going to take. And the people of Chennai, the teachers and principals of Chennai, have been one of the first group who have realized that, and they were smart enough to get Jnana Prabodhini involved in this. So I congratulate all of you and assure you that whatever help you need from Jnana Prabodhini, we are ready to give. Thank you.
Thank you very much for enlightening on various your ideas and implementing in school level. But I have a small, that is my dilemma, everybody's dilemma. In the state like Tamil Nadu, how to implement, there is no, any course we are taken, is always we have a reciprocation in the direction. Mindset, how to handle the people of different mindset to implement these ideas. We have this, any attempt we have taken, it's not welcomed, this kind of a heterogeneous group. How to overcome these issues in this state actually? This is my...
We have the same problem in the state of Maharashtra also. For that you will have to use your ability of reading between the lines, all the GRs which are issued by the government. We had many problems while doing all these experiments. We have to do what is prescribed by the government, by the state government and the central government also. But the policy makers also cannot visualize everything. So what is given in the statutes, in the GRs, is what you can do or what you cannot do. But what is not given in the GRs, the government has not decided anything about that. And so we can go ahead and do that. For several times, the educational officers came to our school and said that you cannot do this. So gradually we got the boldness to ask them, show us in the GR where it is said that it is not it cannot be done. And if it is not mentioned in GR at all, then we are free to do what we want to do in the school as long as we are following your rules. And if you think that we should not do this, please give in writing that this cannot be done in the school. And in most of the cases, the education officer said, okay, you can do whatever you want. As long as you are following the rules, I have no objection. But for that, we'll have to build up courage, and it has to be collective courage, or not just one person. The principal and the concerned teachers and the concerned management, they all have to be unanimous about that. That if it is not mentioned in the statutes, we can do it if you want to do it.
Namaste, sir. The notion of Madhrubhumi Parichay, that's what I was very much inspired about it. Even previously, Prashant Divagaji was experiencing and stating about it. It could be possible everywhere, but and also I'm confident of the children cooperation, participation, everything. But really scared of the cooperation from the parents to take them out and to mingle with other such people. Because nowadays they are very much pampering, in fact not allowing their own children to take their independent decision, and that's why I feel like cooperation seems to be lesser in many such experiments to be done. What's the solution, sir?
Your observation is correct. There are two things you can do. One is, you can give the parents a letter that the school feels that the students should visit these places. If you can arrange your family excursions to those places on your own, it will be very good for the education of your students. Some parents will do that, most will not do it. But there remains the feeling that it was suggested by the school and we could not do it. So next year you can say that since you are not able to arrange, we are going to arrange it, please send. Again, all the students will not come at the same time. So it has to be a voluntary activity in the beginning. But those students who go to this Mathrubhumi Parichay Shibir, they will tell their classmates and they will convince their parents that I have to go next time. It is a 3 years process, not immediate process.
For lack of time, we're winding up right now, but I'm sure in future we will get more opportunities. On that note, Anil Kichaji would like to add something. Then I would propose the vote of thanks.
See, once my mentor was asked by a group of people that you have been doing a lot of things for the society, lot of things for the nation. But we see a lot of things happening around which are not good, which we are not able to accept. And we feel that something should be done, but we are not able to do anything. We feel helpless. So what shall we do? Then he said, make noise. So they said, what? He said, make noise. He said, what? He said, make noise. And he said, where? Wherever you can. How much? How much ever you can. What way? Whatever way you can. And like Napoleon said, whenever you have to speak, whenever you need to speak and you don't speak, that your silence only has destroyed the humanity much more than the damage which has been made by the bad people in the society. Thank you.
Short, crisp and sharp. Thank you so much, Anil Kichaji. I'm tuning down myself in tone with the past 1 hour and 15 minutes of silence. A repository of knowledge, a warehouse of wealth of knowledge, starting with every single word of yours, oozing not from the book, from personal experience, from years of dealing with children, for years of dealing with the well-being of the society and wealth of experience. We are indeed very privileged, Ji, to be in your presence, to listen to those profound words. If only we can apply at least 15 to 20% of it. I do hope we will be able to apply everything eventually. As the saying goes, success lies at the end of your comfort zone. Once we decide to step out of it, and as you so practically put it, nothing is going to be instant. You need to start knocking at the door for it to open. Even with the recent thing you said, 3 years you try it, third year maybe it will be a success. Thank you so much for that wealth of knowledge that you have shared with us this evening. We are indeed looking forward to more. I am sure the entire crowd of 22 and odd teachers, schools here, and 160 and 70 odd of us will agree on that note. Thank you so much for that wonderful sharing that you did some time back. Thank you so much, Ji. Looking forward to more.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे